Welcome back to this week's vlog, and we'll check in with a bit of an injury update on what I'm doing now with 2 weeks off no running, and how my injury's coming on, how I'm going to heal, and what are the next steps. So first thing that I did really after last week's video was I was talking about getting a scan and seeing what the root cause of the issue was. I don't think that waiting 2 weeks for it to go down was really going to pay off really. With having this similar issue in the summer, I did exactly the same. I waited for 2 weeks. It got a little bit better, but it was still lingering around, and I just kind of went back to training and didn't really solve what the issue was. So this time round, I thought that I'd get a scan. I thought that also I'd go for physio too. So I'm yet to go to physio, but I thought getting the scan would be worth it before I then go and contact a physio. So the scan, I knew this was going to be an expensive route out, but it was one that I thought was worth the money. It was just under £400, £380 to have the scan. But I thought with going through the NHS and waiting, I'm probably quite a very low priority to be seen, as it's not impacting my job, sort of my day-to-day life, other than just stopping me from running. So the only really option was to pay for this with a private company. I've not got any private healthcare, so it would be covered within this. And to be honest, I thought it was a really impressive service because I only booked the scan on Friday evening for a Saturday morning slot. I was told that it was going to be 3 working days to get the results back, and I got these on the afternoon of the third day on Wednesday. So I had my results back, and thankfully the results of this MRI would have picked up any issues that I had, if it was either a stress fracture, if it was a labrum tear. So that could have been a long-term issue that requires a bit of surgery, or any other issues that were structurally to do with the bones and around the hip joint there. So thankfully it came back and nothing was up on the scan, which is good, but it still leaves me with the issue of what is wrong with it and how am I going to fix it so I can get back to running again. So what are my next steps from here? And I think the most important thing for me to do really is, rather than speculate, rather than rest, is to go and see someone who knows a bit more about this than me, who's qualified to give their opinion, and that's to go to a physio. So I'll be trying to book in as soon as I can with a physio, ideally locally. And it'd be good to be able to have a relationship with a good physio who could solve any issues or any prehabbing any issues that possibly might be coming up. So I think this is important to do. It's not something that I've needed really in the past. I've very sparingly had to go see a physio, but it's often resolved, niggle, sort of pretty quickly. So I think this time it needs a bit more serious thought and a bit more effort into, first of all, getting their advice, what it might be, what are my next steps in terms of what I can do exercise-wise, in terms of physio exercises, in terms of general exercise as well. I really need to know what's my roadmap to return to running. And at the moment, what I have is, I've not taken any professional advice on this. This is purely through how I'm feeling. So don't just follow along blindly if you've got a similar issue. But I've been walking, as I don't get any pain while walking, and I need to walk really. It's part of your day-to-day life. I can't just sit around or sit down all day at work. I need to walk to get into work sometimes as well, and to sort of just do your everyday life. So I don't see any harm in walking. The other exercise that I think is good as well, that I don't see any harm in, is swimming. But my hip is not really flexing or extending a lot through swimming. You're fairly horizontal on the water, just doing front crawl. I won't be doing any breaststroke, but I don't really do that anyway. And I don't think it's an issue on turning. I'm not getting any pain doing tumble turns or diving in. And I think it's a really good exercise that you've got around 80% of your body weight is supported by the water. So there's no pressure going through my joints. And it's a good way of really just keeping that aerobic fitness up so that when I do return to running, it won't just be a big shock to my aerobic system. But if I've been doing sort of half an hour of swimming most days, maybe even an hour plus on some days as well, I'll be keeping myself fit and ready to go when I return to running. And I'm really seeing this period as just concentrating on what I can do and what I can't, rather than what I can't do, which is for running. And what I can do really is think of those times when I've been doing my running training, so I'll be wanting to run most days and fit in my week around my runs, especially weekends, around long runs, around sessions, and it's given me quite a bit of free time back to do those things I want to do. So last weekend, it was quite nice to go up to a peak district, which I do enjoy getting out in the peaks, going for either a walk or a run, but it often doesn't fit in with a marathon training that you'll be doing at the weekend, where you want to be using one of those days to get in your long run. So rather than missing my long run, I'll be missing my long run physically, but I mean missing out on the feeling doing my long run, I decided to go up to Hathersage and do a bit of a walk around there, which was a couple of hours walking out in the peaks. Had decent weather for this time of year, and I've always wanted to try the Lido at Hathersage. So I think with running, we do like to mix up our routes, and it's the same with swimming, but I'm not really too excited to go to my leisure centre all the time. It's quite handy that it's only just down the road, but it's not the brightest of pools, and you do like a change every once in a while. So to swim outdoors in a heated Lido was a real nice treat. It's a bit like, I'd compare it to sort of going on a long run out round one of the trails up in the Peak District, say Monsell Trail, or going around Lady Bower or somewhere like that. A real motivational thing for going to do your exercise. So really enjoyed that swim at Hathersage. I enjoyed it that much. I stopped in for nearly 2 hours and did 6k in the pool, which is about double what I'd normally do. And I've been enjoying going to Moorways in Derby as well. So it's a fairly new 50-metre pool, a bit more inspiring to swim at. So I've been getting a few more swims in there. So I think I've had about 5 swims over the past 7 days, and I want to try and keep this up, to keep that fitness up, like I've said, and focus on those things that I can do, which I wasn't necessarily making the time for when I was running every day. So that's the end of the update, and I hope to bring something a little bit more positive. I mean, it wasn't too negative an update with the positive MRI scan news, but I still need to get to the bottom of what is causing this hip injury and try and get back to running again. So I think that next weekend, the race is off the cards. I was doing a 16.45 mile race. So with no running for 2 weeks, I'm not going to jump into this, but I'm hopeful that if I can get back in the next couple of weeks, that I can still run Ashby 20 in about 6 weeks' time as a bit of a long run and something to work up towards. So I don't think everything is lost, and I can still get back to running soon, and I'll see you in the next video.